Welcome to the Freely Rooted Mama podcast. Where I am their mother, I make the choice. All right, mamas, happy Thursday to you. I hope you're doing awesome. We're here with an episode on, should you take a prenatal multivitamin? This is a question I get a lot in my DMs on Instagram. I also get a lot of questions on what I'm currently taking for my pregnancy with Isla. Because at the time of recording this, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. So when this episode comes out, I'm going to do a video on what I am or was, because I forget kind of where I'm at in the production, trying to make sure that I get enough episodes ready for when she does make her arrival. But I'll do a video on what I'm currently taking with her, and I'll kind of go through like why I'm taking everything that I'm taking, and I'll post it probably to my Instagram. So make sure you're following me on Instagram to see that video, because if you're listening to me here, you can't see what I'm taking. I can kind of verbally talk about them, but sometimes it's just easier to visually see what I'm doing. So most of the time when we're pregnant and we go to our provider, the first thing they tell us is, oh, you should get on a multivitamin, a prenatal multivitamin. Now, the thing about a multivitamin is that it usually doesn't hit all the necessary needs that we need to make sure that we're hitting those nutrient values that I talked about in the first, second, third trimester episodes. So that's the first concern with it. The second is that most of them are made with synthetic ingredients, fillers. They're not using high quality ingredients. So there's a lot of concern around prenatal vitamins. The other thing is that I find that sometimes people use the prenatal vitamin, a multivitamin, as an excuse to compensate for poor dietary choices. And that is, it should be the other way around. Dietary choices, what we eat, what we're nourishing our body with real food should come first. Supplementation comes second to meet whatever our dietary needs do not cover. For example, I talked about in the first trimester nutrients episode that, vitamin A is really important. I don't eat organ meats, so that's not part of my dietary structure. So then I supplement with encapsulated dehydrated organ meat supplements. So your diet should come first. That should be your priority. And then supplementation comes next. Supplement should not be an excuse for poor dietary choices. So, and then of course, if we are looking at a prenatal, we want to make sure that it's a high quality one sourced from whole foods. That's 100% organic. And it's got, the good quality of the nutrients that we need, not synthetic ingredients. So there's a lot of different forms of prenatals out there. You can get capsules, powder, gummies, one a day. So I'm going to kind of go through the pros and cons. Capsules, easy, convenient, but dosing can be tricky to meet all the needs. Sometimes you're going to have to dose like 8 to 10 capsules in order to hit the daily requirement needs that you need for most of those nutrients. So that can get a little, some people just, after working in the healthcare world for so long, I know that some people just do not like swallowing capsules. They don't want to take a bunch of them. So that could be a downside. Capsules is also usually not a great way to get fat-soluble nutrients, such as like your vitamin D3, which really requires a source of fat to be properly absorbed. So again, your prenatal is usually not going to cover all your needs. Like, let's just start there. It's not going to cover all your needs. So that's the kind of the pro and con of a capsule. Powder, it's great for those who have trouble swallowing capsules, like I just talked about. But it's typically not going to contain all the nutrients you need. Gummies may taste yummy, but usually have a ton of sugar, artificial colors, flavors, additives. I would avoid a gummy at all costs. And then a one a day, really, really don't recommend. I mean, there is no one a day capsule, tablet, whatever you want to take that is going to cover all of your nutrient needs. It's just not going to happen. People, of course, would love it. It's the one pill cure, right? Would be great if you could just take one pill and all your troubles go away, but that's just not real. So I would really avoid anything that says a one a day on it. Chances are it's synthetic. It's got minimal requirements needed for you to meet those first, second, and third trimester needs. Sometimes they leave out super necessary nutrients altogether. They contain artificial dyes most of the time. I would just skip anything that says one a day. even though it's like one of the most popular things for people to go in and buy. Skip it. You're better off really focusing on your diet and trying to incorporate a lot of those foods that I talked about in the first and second, third trimester episodes than doing a one a day. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not an expert, but my opinion. The other sad part about prenatals in general is that there are no FDA requirements around prenatals. Not that I really love anything that the FDA has to say, or agree with most of what they say. But there's no regulations or requirements on the word, like on using the word prenatal. So you can just slap prenatal on, whatever supplement you've created, and there's no regulations. There's no requirements needed for it. So it's really easy to get swayed by marketing in that sense and not actually looking at what it is that you're taking. So, and it easily contains, some of the one-a-days actually easily contain ingredients that are known to be contradicted during pregnancy. But again, because there's no requirements from the FDA, it doesn't matter. So you want to find a brand that is ideally using organic ingredients. If they can, screen for heavy metals, whole-based food, nutrient, fat, good sources of fat. Like those are the things you're wanting to look for when it comes to a prenatal. So I do use a prenatal. However, that's not the only thing I rely on. So as I do my video of everything I'm taking, I probably take about, if I'm talking in terms of bottles, I think I've got about 7 bottles of supplements that I take, maybe 8. Regularly every day. Yes, it's a lot of capsules to swallow, but again, there's so many factors that come into my personal situation to where I was breastfeeding a child. I came into this pregnancy still breastfeeding that child, so a lot of my stores were depleted. I didn't have a ton of time to regain a lot of those stores, like calcium, for example, or iron. I don't eat a lot of organ meats, so I supplement there. I know I have low vitamin D levels, so I supplement there. So there's a lot of things that are personal to me on why I supplement the way I do. But I do take one of those supplements is a prenatal. It is very high quality. It's from Douglas Laboratories. That's the one that I used my last pregnancy and this pregnancy. And then I use a lot of additional things because that prenatal is not going to have every nutrient I need to cover my first, second, and third trimester nutrient requirements. So it's just one aspect of what I'm doing. And then again, I'm really putting a lot into the dietary part of it. What am I eating? What am I consuming on a daily basis? Some other good brands that are in the holistic space that I haven't personally used, but I do believe are probably pretty good are Pure Encapsulations has a prenatal, Designs for Health has a prenatal, Mary Ruth's prenatal I think is pretty good. Mega Food has a prenatal. It's not organic, but it's a non-GMO, so that's at least something. But again, if you can try to find organic ingredients, that would be best. Garden of Life is often talked about. Like if you just do a Google search for prenatal multivitamins, Garden of Life comes up. I haven't done enough research into this, so I can't say it with like 100% certainty on what they're using and how they're sourcing it. But I do know that Garden of Life was sold to Nestle about 7 years ago. And I just have to believe that Nestle's probably not investing a ton of money into sourcing 100% whole organic ingredients. So I would be wary of Garden of Life. That's not to say that they're not. It's just my hunch about them. So again, this kind of goes back to doing your own research, checking in on the companies that you're using, the brands you're supporting, things like that. Are they doing their due diligence? I actually just had a company reach out to me the other day that do a prenatal, and they wanted me to be an ambassador for it. And I said, my first questions were, where do you source your ingredients? Are they 100% organic? Do you have a source list that you can share? And do you test them for heavy metals? I haven't heard back yet. A lot of companies will not test for heavy metals, but that's actually not true because a lot of them do. It's just kind of one of my standards that I have for myself when it comes to supplements. I don't want to be, I mean, if you listen to like what I did to prepare for pregnancy, I don't want to be adding more toxins back in through my supplements because those toxins, are going to negate the fact that the nutrients are going to get into the cell. If you have a supplement that you're taking that is high in arsenic, for example, Like that toxin, as you take that supplement, is going to clog your cell, and the nutrients aren't going to be able to get in, and the waste is not going to be able to get out. So it really defeats the whole purpose of trying to get nutrients into the body if you're buying something that's rancid or contains heavy metals or just plastics or whatever synthetic ingredients. It's going to end up doing more harm to the body than good. And that's kind of one of the debates that always comes into play when it comes to supplements is, well, they cost too much money. So I go to Costco and I buy the omega, the big thing of omegas there, or I get the 1-a-day prenatal. And I hear you. I understand that supplements cost money for sure. It's frustrating that in order to have this very healthy life, we kind of have to pay for it. But on the flip side of that, I would also say a couple things. One, your money supports whatever it is that you're buying. So if you're going to pay a little bit extra for grass-fed meat, like hopefully in time enough people do that the demand shows people want grass-fed meat. I mean, look at Costco. Costco now carries so many organic things compared to 8 years ago because the demand, like consumers showed with their money what they wanted in the stores. So we can do the same thing with supplements too, right? The other thing is, and I don't mean this to sound rude in any way, but if you're buying a daily Starbucks and you've got the brand new iPhone and, you go on a dinner date once a week, or you go see the brand new movie every time it comes out, or you have to buy a new pair of shoes, like these are like obscure things and we're all at fault for this, right? Like, oh, I can't afford to do that. But it's really how important is it to you to maybe stop buying or purchasing or getting your daily coffee in order to put that money somewhere else. And so this would be the one thing that I say with food and supplements is that you can't buy your way back to good. Like once you've gone too far down the line, I mean, the prime example of this is Steve Jobs, right? Had all the money in the world, could not pay to get his health back, right? Went too far down the line. So the health is the only thing we've got. It's what your kids need you to have. They need you to be healthy. They need you to be able to play with them. They need you to be able to get up and run and have energy. Like health is the one thing that we all really, really need that is really hard to buy your way back into. So while I understand that it is frustrating that, like, I just went to the grocery store this week and Costco has been carrying organic blueberries. Blueberries is my son's favorite thing on the planet. They haven't had them for the last couple weeks, so I went to a little local grocery store. They had some, but it was $5.99 for like a tiny little pack that he'll eat a day. So I say all that to say, just know that what you spend your money on matters. And I know that it's expensive, but spend your money on quality things that are going to get you good health, good nutrients that aren't synthetic, that aren't going to clog your cells, that aren't going to do more harm. So there's my little soapbox on that for today. Hope that's helpful to answer the question about prenatals. Again, just, you want to do some research on it.